Because now slavery engulfs not merely Guyana or British Guyana. It engulfs the entire developing world, particularly the ex-colonies. In the same way as the slaves and indentured laborers were brought from their respective homes for the profit of a system dominated by those who own the plantation, even so, those who now superintend the economies of the capitalist world look upon our countries as being obliged to operate for their profits and benefits. Of course, we do not go around in physical shackles and chains. Of course, no longer can they hang us up by hooks. No longer can they make our mothers abort by beating them. But certainly they can interfere with the future of our economy and the future of our children by the manipulation of prices and the manipulation of the economic and financial system internationally. But in the same way, as people like Damon saw a new light and a new possibility when there was a formal declaration with respect to the abolition of slavery, in the same way as some of the leaders of slave rebellions sought to set up arrangements with similar groups in Suriname, and those in Burma sought to set up arrangements with similar groups in Demerara. Even so, I think the possibility of our way out of the impending, threatening, or actual slavery is a greater cooperation between the countries of the South or the developing countries. And let us understand, comrades, that the ruthlessness of the slave masters was physical. But the ruthlessness of the slave masters today is no less great. There has been set up an economic and financial system which was relevant in the 40s. And those who run it refuse to budge. Another aspect with respect to the survival of slavery is to be found in the minds. Some of us have freed ourselves. Some of us think independently. Some of us are willing to carve niches for our country. Some of us are bent on the establishment of a socialist society in Guyana. But what about others? What about those who hark back to ancient days and, like some of the slaves, argue how much they are worth? When compensation was being paid to the slave owners, there were some slaves who, though they had no monetary or financial interest in that compensation, who argued on behalf of their masters that their masters should be paid more for them because they were a better class of chattel. How reminiscent of that attitude is the attitude of those who, instead of staying to build Guyana, say that they are worth more and migrate to be paid less in a lower and a dehumanizing job. How many senior civil servants have I not seen operating as bellhops in New York? How many erstwhile managers do I not see as baggage boys in the hotels I go to in various parts of the world? They are worth more, even though they have to subject themselves to the dehumanization of being bellhops and baggage boys. And again, there was a very interesting argument which arose during the period of emancipation. For during those 4 years, the slaves were supposed to be fed by the masters. So many plantains per day. But some slaves, not all, some slaves argue that in place of plantain, they wanted wheaten flour. How reminiscent is it of the servile mentality which has survived among some of us 150 years after the formal abolition of slavery. Let us understand finally, comrades, that not only has slavery been a canker in our society regardless of the ethnics, not only have all of us suffered from slavery, but all of us have suffered from the most pernicious effects of slavery, the effects upon the mind. Don't you notice sometimes when you bring in a foreign contractor, and you have a foreign contractor or consultant, the work is completed on time when you use an equally competent local contractor? Some people's wife get baby. Other people's cousin got Bigfoot. Other people's mother just take in. Other people just get telegram that a cousin got flu. And the job is never completed on time. One of the things that slavery put into our minds, engraved in our minds, is our innate inferiority. But in the same way as I contend that it was the rebellious nature of the slaves that brought the abolition about, in the same way I contend as the rebellions of the slaves that made their masters free them, in the same way as I contend that it was the slaves' desire to be free once again, even so I contend that today, whether it is on the economic front, the production front, or the social front, freedom, real freedom, will only be ours if we determine that we shall be free. And at a conscious level, wipe out these legacies of slavery and take an oath today that never again shall we be slaves to man or mouse.
Comrade President of the Cooperative Republic of Guyana, Comrade Lyndon Forbes Sampson Burnham.